Hi and welcome back to Glowfully by Aleora. If you're listening on commute, tidying up your space or doing your skincare, just come as you are. I've got a tea beside me, the cozy lamp is on and the vibe today is gentle but honest. Lately I've been hearing the same theme in DMs and emails. I'm doing so much but I still feel wired, tired and a bit stuck. Same. Life can feel like a never-ending tab list. That's why today I wanted to park the perfection and talk about 3 places we have the most leverage to feel better without overhauling our entire existence. So we'll start with evenings that actually heal you, not hype you up. We'll talk about how to break self-sabotage loops with journaling and a little shadow work. And why slow workouts aren't a downgrade, they're nervous system gold. So no pressure, no moralizing, zero that girl energy, just simple switches that help your hormones, your sleep, your sanity. And if you want, before we start, take a breath with me. Inhale through the nose and a long, slow exhale. Okay, let's build an evening that tucks you in, not winds you up. So, before we touch on goals, habits and gym plans, we'll start where every good day actually begins. The night before, because your evenings cue safety and your mornings don't have to fight so hard. So in today's episode, it's all about how to create evening routines that actually heal you rather than harm you. Now, I know evening routine is a bit of a buzzword. You've probably seen those aesthetic night routines on TikTok and Instagram. The candles, the 12-step skincare, the perfect tidy desk, the cup of tea in a beautiful mug. And while that looks lovely, here's the truth. An evening routine doesn't have to be perfect or complicated or even Instagram worthy, because I bet most of the time even those don't look Instagram worthy. In fact, sometimes the pressure to have the perfect routine becomes stressful in itself. So today, I want to strip it back. Let's talk about what actually makes an evening routine healing for your hormones, your nervous system, your skin, and your sleep, and what can sometimes sneakily make those things worse, even when you think you're doing something good for yourself. So, why do evenings matter? Evenings are the bridge between the stress of the day and the restoration of the night. It's the space where your body needs to shift gears from fight or flight into rest and repair. When you send the right signals, your body lowers cortisol, raises melatonin, your digestion settles, your skin starts repairing, and your brain begins preparing for deep, restorative sleep. But when your evenings are full of bright lights, overstimulation, late night snacks, endless scrolling, or unfinished work, your body gets mixed messages. Your cortisol stays higher, melatonin production is delayed, and you end up lying in bed with a buzzing mind or waking up feeling like you didn't rest well at all. So, the real purpose of an evening routine isn't about productivity or aesthetics. It's about sending cues of safety and calm to your body. So let's start with light, because it's one of the biggest signals to your body about what time it is. Our brains are wired to respond to the sun. Bright blue-toned light tells your body it's daytime, time to stay alert. Whereas warm, dim light signals evening, time to rest. Now, guess what happens when you're on your phone in bed with that bright LED light in your face? You guessed it, your body thinks it's still daytime. Melatonin, the hormone that helps you feel sleepy, gets delayed. Cortisol stays higher and suddenly it's midnight, you're exhausted, but your brain is still scrolling through imaginary to-do lists. Instead, let's look at a healing choice. So dimming your lights after dinner, maybe switching to warm tone bulbs. I have warm tone bulbs, I love them, and a salt crystal lamp, that's my favourite. You can also light a candle if you enjoy that, or even just putting your phone on night shift mode. Small shifts in light can have a huge impact on how quickly you fall asleep. The second factor is stimulation. Many of us mistake numbing out for winding down. You might flop on the sofa with Netflix playing, scrolling Instagram at the same time and think, this is me relaxing, but often your nervous system is still buzzing. The truth is, your body can't fully switch off when it's overstimulated. So doom scrolling, answering late emails, doing intense workouts late at night, they all keep your nervous system in on mode. What helps instead is choosing activities that gently release the day, rather than pile on more input. That could be journaling, even just writing down tomorrow's to-do list so it's not in your head. It could be stretching, listening to calming music, doing a short guided meditation, or reading something light. Obviously, I'm not saying you can't watch TV or check your phone. I mean, I do that too. But be mindful of how much stimulation you're giving your system right before sleep. If you notice you're more wired, swap at least part of that time for something soothing. But evenings are also about what you eat and drink. Food impacts stress hormones more than we often realise. If you're eating heavy sugar right before bed, drinking wine or skipping dinner and then snacking late, you're setting yourself up for blood sugar swings that can spike cortisol in the middle of the night. That's when you wake up at 3 a.m. with your mind racing. On the other hand, a balanced dinner with protein, some healthy fats, fibre, and colour helps keep blood sugar steady. Herbal teas like chamomile, lemon balm, or peppermint can calm your nervous system and prepare you for sleep. Caffeine is another one. Even if you're falling asleep after a late coffee, the quality of your sleep is lighter and more fragmented. So, if sleep is a struggle, try cutting caffeine after midday and see if you notice a shift. Alcohol deserves a mention too. Yes, it makes you drowsy, but it disrupts deep sleep and raises nighttime cortisol. If you've ever had a glass or two of wine and then found yourself awake at 2 a.m, that's why. So healing choices can look like a grounding evening meal, herbal tea instead of alcohol, and maybe a small protein-rich snack if you tend to wake hungry at night. Next up, we have skincare. An evening is when your skin does most of its repair, but a lot of people either overload the skin with actives or skip cleansing altogether, both of which can do more harm than good. So if you're stressed, your barrier is already more fragile. Overdoing strong acids or retinols late at night can leave you irritated, while skipping cleansing leaves sunscreen, pollution, and oil sitting on your skin overnight. A healing evening skincare routine is simple. Gentle cleanse, double cleanse if you've worn makeup or SPF, a hydrating serum or mist, and a nourishing moisturiser to lock it in. You don't need 10 steps. Keep it supportive and kind to your barrier. And finally, boundaries. This is about mental and emotional closure. If you're checking work emails at 10 p.m. or trying to multitask household chores until you collapse into bed, your nervous system never gets the message that the day is over. Healing boundaries might look like setting a tech cut-off time, doing a brain dump of tomorrow's tasks, or having a little ritual that tells your body the day is done. It could be lighting a candle, doing skincare, or just saying out loud, "Work is finished, I'll come back to it tomorrow." Your nervous system thrives on cues of safety, and boundaries create those cues. Here's the thing, your evening routine doesn't have to be long or aesthetic. It doesn't even have to be the same every day. It just needs to be consistent enough that your body recognizes the signal, we're safe, we can rest. Even swapping one harmful habit for one healing one can change how your body sleeps and restores. So what does a healing routine look like in practice? Well, let me give you an example of one that's simple but effective. And I understand that this may not suit everyone, so take what resonates and leave what does not. So why not try these? Around 8 p.m, dim the lights and switch your phone into night mode. After dinner, make a cup of chamomile tea and do a quick 5-minute stretch. Wash your face, apply hydrating skincare and brush your teeth. Write down 3 things you need to do tomorrow so they're out of your mind. Read a book or journal for 10 minutes under soft light. And aim for bed around the same time each night. That's it. It doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't need to be long. Just consistent signals of calm. Evenings are your reset button. They're the time when your body can shift out of survival mode and into repair mode. So by making a few changes, dimmer lights, calmer activities, balanced meals, gentle skincare, and clear boundaries, you're not just helping yourself sleep better, you're giving your hormones, your skin, and your nervous system the foundation they need to heal. So next time you think about your night routine, don't ask, is this aesthetic? Ask, does this feel healing? That's the only standard that matters. Okay, so once the lights are softer and the phone's not shouting at us, that's when the other things show up. The quiet little patterns that pull us off track, not laziness, but protection. So, let's grab a journal and look at self-sabotage with compassion, not shame. This is one that I think so many of us are going to feel called out by. In a good way, hopefully. We're talking about self-sabotage, why we do it, how it shows up, and how to gently break the cycle with the help of journaling and shadow work. This isn't about shaming yourself for avoiding or putting things off or falling back into old habits. It's about understanding what really happens underneath. Because most of the time, self-sabotage isn't laziness, it's fear and it's protection. It's your nervous system trying to keep you safe in ways that you don't always make sense to your conscious mind. So, grab a journal if you can, or just listen along. I'll be sharing some prompts you can work with right away, and we'll also dip into how shadow work, which is bringing the hidden parts of yourself into the light, can help you understand your patterns more deeply. What is self-sabotage really? Well, let's start with a reframe. Self-sabotage is often self-protection. Think about it. How many times have you been excited about a new goal, a new relationship, or a fresh opportunity, and then suddenly you stall? Maybe you procrastinate. Maybe you talk yourself out of it. Maybe you forget to do the things you knew would help you move forward. On the surface, it looks like you're blocking yourself, but underneath, your mind is trying to keep you safe from what it perceives as a threat. Whether it be failure, rejection, disappointment, even success, because success can be scary too. It brings change, responsibility, visibility. So instead of labeling yourself as lazy or undisciplined, start with compassion. Your body and mind are doing what they think will protect you. And journaling helps us uncover these protective patterns so we can choose differently. When you're caught in the loop of self-sabotage, your thoughts often feel fast, loud, and tangled. Journaling slows them down. Putting pen to paper gives you a mirror. It lets you see patterns and fears that are hard to spot when they're just spinning in your head. And when you write, you move from reacting to reflecting. That pause, that tiny space between thought and action, is where change begins. Now, let's go deeper into some prompts, and as I share each one, I will also unpack why it matters and how it helps. So the first prompt I'd like to share is what patterns keep repeating in my life and what fear might be driving them. Start here. Look at the areas where you feel stuck on repeat. Maybe it's starting projects and not finishing, pulling back from relationships when they get serious, or spending money when you've promised to save. And then ask yourself, what fear is underneath? Is it a fear of rejection? Fear of not being enough? Fear of being too much? Naming the fear is the first step to softening its power. Prompt 2 is what does my comfort zone protect me from? And what does it cost me? Comfort zones aren't bad, they exist to keep us safe, but they also keep us small. So write about what your comfort zone gives you, predictability, safety, familiarity, and then write about what it takes away. Is it opportunities, growth, fulfillment? An awareness of both sides helps you choose when it's worth stepping out. The third prompt is when I notice myself procrastinate or self-sabotage, what am I really trying to avoid feeling? Self-sabotage is less about the task itself and more about the emotion attached to it. Are you avoiding a deadline? Maybe you're avoiding the possibility of failing. Are you avoiding exercise? Maybe you're avoiding the discomfort of starting. Naming the emotion underneath the action gives you clarity. For the fourth prompt, ask what would it look like if I supported myself instead of sabotaging myself in these areas? Here's where we flip the script. Instead of focusing on what you don't want to do, imagine how you would act if you were fully on your own team. How you would treat yourself differently, how you would talk to yourself. This prompt plants the seed for new supportive patterns. And finally, the fifth prompt, what's one gentle action I can take this week to break the cycle? Change doesn't need to be huge. Small, consistent actions matter most. One step forward is more powerful than a perfect plan left undone. So write down something you can do this week that feels doable, not overwhelming. Now, let's bring in shadow work because this is where journaling can go even deeper. Shadow work is about exploring the parts of yourself you usually keep hidden, the fears, the shame, the stories you've tucked away because they feel too uncomfortable. Carl Jung called it the shadow because it's the unconscious side of ourselves. And self-sabotage often lives in the shadow. It's the part of you that says, if I don't try, I can't fail. If I push people away, I can't get hurt. If I stay small, I won't be judged. These thoughts often come up from past experiences, childhood moments, teenage years, early relationships. This is where you've learned that playing small, staying silent, or holding back kept you safe. Journaling with a shadow work lens means asking questions that bring those hidden beliefs into light. For example, when did I first learn that it felt safer to hold myself back? Whose voice do I hear when I tell myself I can't or I shouldn't? What part of myself am I scared others will see if I succeed? These questions can feel confronting, but they're also liberating. Because once you see the shadow, it's not hidden anymore. And when it's not hidden, you can work with it. One of the most healing ways to work with the shadow is to reframe it. Instead of saying, I'm sabotaging myself again, I'm hopeless, you write, this part of me is trying to protect me, but I don't need this protection anymore. That small reframe shifts the energy from blame to compassion, and compassion creates space for change. So let's say you keep putting off on starting a side project you dreamed about. Shadow work journaling might reveal that deep down you're scared of being visible. Maybe as a child you were criticised when you shone too brightly. So now part of you keeps you small to avoid that pain. With journaling, you can name that fear. I'm scared people will criticize me if I put myself out there. Then you can write a reframe. Criticism may come, but it doesn't mean I am unsafe. I can handle it now. That's the shift from unconscious fear to conscious choice. So here's how you might use those tools in real life. Number 1, you can notice when you're self-sabotaging, whether it's procrastinating, binging, avoiding, or overcommitting. Number 2, pause and journal with one of the prompts. Number 3, if it feels right, go deeper with the shadow work question. What am I scared will happen if I actually succeed? Number 4, write one supportive action you can take this week. This isn't about fixing yourself overnight. It's about building awareness and compassion so the cycle of self-sabotage loosens over time. And trust me, this won't happen overnight. It will take time. But when you are ready, shadow work is there and it is incredibly helpful. Self-sabotage isn't who you are. It's a pattern you've learned, a pattern that can be rewritten. Journaling helps you see the fears that drive your actions, while shadow work helps you bring the hidden parts of yourself into the light. Together, they create space for change. So, the next time you catch yourself sabotaging, try to pause. Ask yourself, what am I really protecting myself from? Then write it down. That one small act of awareness could be the beginning of breaking the cycle. And you don't have to break the cycle all at once, but every time you put pen to paper, you're choosing awareness over autopilot, and that choice changes everything. Now, how do we move in a way that keeps that feeling going? Spoiler, it doesn't require going harder. It asks us to go wiser. So let's talk slow workouts, the kind that regulate, not wreck. If you've ever felt pressure to push harder, sweat more, or measure your worth by how exhausted you are after a workout, this conversation is for you. Because the truth is, movement is about so much more than calories burned or no pain, no gain. Your body is not a machine. It's a system that thrives on balance, on signals of safety, and on the kind of movement that restores as much as it strengthens. So I'd like to unpack why hustle culture shows up in fitness, what slow workouts actually do for your hormones and nervous system, the healing benefits of gentle movement, signs your body might be craving slower exercise, and how to start weaving slow workouts into your life without guilt. So let's start with the hustle narrative. Fitness culture has long been built on the idea that harder is better. We've been sold workout phrases like go hard or go home, no pain, no gain. If you're not sweating buckets, it doesn't count. And for some people, there is joy in pushing limits. Intensity has its place. But here's the thing. Most of us already live in a state of intensity. We're juggling stress, work, family, notifications, to-do lists. Our cortisol, our main stress hormone, is already working overtime. So when we take a nervous system that's already activated and thrown into another high-intensity environment without balance, we can actually do more harm than good. Instead of healing, we add another layer of stress. And this is where the power of slow workouts comes in. They flip the script. They remind your body that movement can be a form of restoration, not punishment. So, what do I mean when I say slow workout? Well, it's any form of intentional, lower intensity movement where the goal is presence and connection rather than exhaustion. That could be yoga, where breath and posture move together. Pilates, focusing on core stability and gentle strength. Walking, especially outdoors where your nervous system responds to nature. Tai Chi, with its flowing mindful movements. And mobility work or stretching, even 10 minutes before bed. Slow workouts aren't easy. They require focus, control, and awareness, but instead of spiking cortisol, they regulate. And instead of leaving you depleted, they leave you grounded. So let's go a little deeper into why slow workouts are so healing. When you do high intensity exercise, your sympathetic nervous system, your fight or flight mode, kicks in. That can be energizing and it's not inherently bad. But if that's the only kind of workout you do, your cortisol stays elevated, your body struggles to recover, and your hormones get thrown off balance. Slow workouts, on the other hand, activate your parasympathetic nervous system. That's the rest and digest mode. This is a state where your body repairs, digests, and recalibrates. So some benefits include lower cortisol, which means steadier moods, better skin, and improved cycle health. Improved insulin sensitivity, which is less blood sugar roller coasters and fewer cravings. Reduced inflammation, which is especially helpful if you deal with chronic pain or fatigue. Better recovery. Your muscles heal more effectively when stress is managed, and your nervous system is regulated. You feel calmer, more grounded, more resilient to the day. So, slow movement isn't a downgrade, it's medicine. There's also a huge emotional shift when you embrace slower workouts. Fast, intense exercise often ties into external validation. How you look, how many calories you burned, how productive you were. Slow workouts, on the other hand, invite you to tune inward. You start noticing how your body feels, not just how it looks. You reconnect with your breath. You realise strength can be quiet, that presence is just as powerful as performance. And for many women, slow workouts become the first time movement feels safe instead of punishing. They become a ritual of self-support rather than self-criticism, and that shift ripples out into every other part of life. But how do you know if your body is craving this type of movement? Well, here are some common signs. If you're constantly tired, even after working out, if your cycle feels irregular, PMS is intense, or hormones feel out of balance, if you're sore and inflamed all of the time, no matter how much you stretch, if your anxiety feels worse after workouts, and if you dread exercise instead of looking forward to it. If any of these resonate, it doesn't mean you need to quit fast workouts altogether. It just means your system is asking for more balance, for slow, healing movement to balance out the intensity. So here's the key reframe. Slow workouts aren't less than. They're not the opposite of progress, they are progress. Healing movement might not make you sweat buckets, but it gives you something more valuable. A regulated nervous system, sustainable energy, reduced stress, and a body that feels supported instead of punished. It's the difference between hustling to control your body and moving to connect with your body. One keeps you stuck in stress, the other builds resilience and restoration. So, if you're used to high intensity, the idea of slowing down can feel strange at first. But here are some gentle ways to begin. Try swapping one high intensity session per week for yoga, Pilates, or walking. Start your morning with 10 minutes of stretching instead of scrolling. Pair walks with calming music or podcasts to turn them into moving meditation. End your day with a few mobility exercises to release tension. And notice how your body feels after slower movement. Calmer, lighter, more grounded. It's just about experimenting. You don't need to give up your favourite workouts if you love them. Just balance them with slower practices that nourish you in different ways. I want you to think about the last time you felt truly restored after moving your body. Not proud of how hard you pushed and not drained, but satisfied, but deeply calm, like your whole system had exhaled. That's the essence of a slow workout. Sometimes we forget that movement can be medicine, that walking outside, stretching on the floor, or breathing through gentle Pilates is just as valid, and in many cases, can be more healing. When you give yourself permission to slow down, you're telling your body, you don't have to earn rest, you're safe now, and that is powerful. So the power of slow workouts is that they heal instead of hustle. They remind you that fitness doesn't need to be punishing to be effective. They lower cortisol, balance hormones, and regulate your nervous system in ways high intensity alone can't. So, if you've been feeling burnt out, anxious, or constantly sore, maybe it's time to ask, what if my body doesn't need more hustle? What if it needs more healing? And the truth is, strength isn't always loud. Progress isn't always fast. Sometimes the most transformative workouts are the ones that feel like an exhale. So let's stitch together everything we have been through today. Here's the golden thread. Evenings set your baseline. Dimmer lights, gentler inputs, and a day is done ritual that tells your body to drop cortisol and invite melatonin. That's not aesthetics, that's chemistry. When your evenings soothe you, tomorrow's focus, mood, and skin all feel easier. Next, journaling loosens the loop. Self-sabotage actually isn't you being weak. It's a protective part trying to keep you from risk. Rejection, failure, being too much. Pen to paper slows the spiral so you can see the fear, thank it, and pick one kind of action. While shadow work adds depth. What part of me is scared to be seen? And how can I lead her gently? And finally, slow movement regulates, not punishes. Walking, yoga, Pilates, mobility, these don't underperform, they recalibrate. They teach your system that effort and ease can coexist, and the result? Calmer sleep, steadier energy, fewer crashes, and a body that trusts you. So together, they form a loop you can live in. Wind down with low light inputs. Write it out so your brain doesn't carry tomorrow into bed. And move gently so stress leaves your tissues and not just your to-do list. You don't need a 20-step routine. This is a minimum effective evening. Try lights down after dinner, phone on night mode and away from your bed, a 5-minute stretch, skincare and herbal tea, 1 page of a brain dump and a supportive sentence to future you, and in bed around the same time. Then, tomorrow, gift yourself a 10 to 20 minute slow walk or mat session. That's it. Small, kind repetitions change your baseline. So if you felt like a soft reset and you have enjoyed today's episode, I'm so glad. If you're trying the minimum evening, tell me how it goes. I love hearing from you guys. And if today helped, subscribe to Glowfully on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, so new episodes land right in your pocket. Join the Aleora Babes on Substack by aleora.substack.com for weekly prompts, gentle routines, and first dibs on new tools. Take a look at www.byaleora.com for journals, planners, and wellness goodies that actually support your routines. And if you have a couple of seconds, give a quick rating or review that helps other women find this show. Remember to take what serves you and leave what doesn't, and remember your body listens to signals, not perfection. Tonight, send it a message of safety. I'm cheering you on, and I'll see you next time.